Welcome to Rack of the Week 119. I've got a shallow break shot. I'm probably not trying to do much with the cue ball, just stun it hard. Yeah, it really stuck to the rack. I'd like to see that cue ball come off the rack 6 or 8 inches, but it got stuck there, and the result is about what you can expect with a shallow angle. I hit it pretty hard. Don't try and overdo it. Your cue ball will end up scratching in the side or coming all the way up table. Play some straight pool. I got 7 balls open, and then a cluster in the center of the table. What I notice when I look at this first of all, it was a great break shot in that I've got 2 shots, 15 in the 7, even though my cue ball is stuck to the rack. What I'm noticing right now, I don't remember what I do to open this rack, but what I notice right now is the 5 ball is an ideal rebreak shot to open this cluster, but you got to get rid of the 13. So one possible, what I'm seeing right now, one possible pattern, you want to go to the rebreak right away. That's your rack analysis. So one possibility would be to go to 7, 8, and lay the cue ball, or from the 8 you want the cue ball past this stripe. Then you can cut the 13, and it's very easy to come up here, and it's very easy to get an angle on the correct angle on this 5. So I don't remember what I do. I remember how this rack ends because I call it "Don't Forget." Let's see what I'm doing here. Okay, so that's got to be, is that for the 8 or the 13? You know, another shot that I do sometimes, which I think a lot of people think is kind of reckless, is if you get an angle on this 13, you can cut that in and go into these balls. I don't recommend that. There's no insurance ball. Lots of bad things can happen. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it's laying better. And as it turns out, I've got a shot on the 5. I didn't think the 5 went, so this is pretty good. Now, that's something, what I just did is something different for me. Because what I would have tried to do a few months ago would be to cut that 5 in and let the cue ball go forward these balls with a lot of force. And that can work out, but you can also, you're pushing balls towards balls that are already open, and you can tie things up, and you don't have to get a shot. So instead of trying to be aggressive and open the rack wide right away, I made sure to get some draw on that ball. And it might have drawn a little bit too far, but this insurance ball made that the right shot. I can shoot this ball as well. And if the cue ball didn't draw as far, I'd have a shot on the 15. So drawing the cue ball off, be a little bit less aggressive, control the cue ball, keep the cue ball alive. I think that's the better choice. I've got so many options to re-break these balls. I didn't have to do a force follow and try and get them all spread. So that's something I've been trying to incorporate into my game a lot more lately. Now, with the 9 ball where it is and the 5 ball already on, how do I re-break them now? And I already looked, or I'm double-checking now, but this stripe does go past the 13. It may not look like it from this camera angle, but that's the reason this is a 3-ball sequence, 8, 9, and this ball to open them up. Now, I don't have a specific insurance ball here, but a nice medium firm follow stroke in there, I really am likely that you're not going to get a shot. Yeah, that wasn't even medium firm. That was medium soft follow stroke. Now I'm looking at the rack. This is a decision point or a transition point during every rack. The rack's open. So now I'm in the later part of the rack, and I need to find an end pattern. And it's probably a little too early to develop a specific end pattern, but before you can have an end pattern, you can need a break ball, and I don't have one. So that's what I'm looking at right now. How in the world am I going to break these balls? How am I going to make a break ball? There's an ideal situation here to make a break ball, something that comes very, very often, and that's a pair of balls that are kind of angled or offset with each other, and that's these 2 stripes. And so if you can get a shot on this 10 where you're a little bit close to straight in or almost straight in, shoot the 10 and then bump the 15 forward. That's just a really, really classic straight pull maneuver for manufacturing a break ball is 2 balls in the rack area that you can shoot one and nudge the other. And if I can leave the 15 and the 8, that would be ideal because those would be an insurance ball. The 1 would be an insurance ball as well. But I can't do that because the 13's in the way, trouble ball. So that's the type of thing you got to do to decide which ball, what order you're going to shoot these in. I got to get rid of that 13. Now, I don't remember what I do. Obviously, I'm going to have to shoot the 15 unless I shoot the 15-13 combination. So this is the only shot. Okay, I think right there I guess I'm playing the 2 ball. Forgot what my pattern or what my thought process is. Let me see what I do. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So I was shooting the 15 ball to just hold the cue ball for the 2. What I'm doing is a 3-ball sequence, 15, 2, and then this 14. Because the 14 lets me get down here to where I can shoot these balls and get rid of them. And I think that was my thought process. That's why I eased that 2 ball in really softly to get this shot on this stripe. However, now that I come over behind the balls, that doesn't look so good anymore. What am I thinking? You got to think about the order that you're going to shoot these balls in. If I shoot that stripe, that's what I'm looking at. I'm over on the right side of the table. If I shoot that stripe right now, what I want to do is get a shot on the 13 or the 1, whichever one goes, so that I can get bring the cue ball to the rail, and then back over here, then I can shoot the 15. But what am I going to do for a break ball? That doesn't help me get that angle that I need to manufacture a break ball. What I could do with that shot is nudge the 10 down just a little bit and have a below-the-rack break shot. But then that means I'm using the 1 ball as insurance. I'm going to have to shoot the 1, come up for the 3, 4, and get back down to either side of the table for the. I hope you're following what I'm talking about. So that's not going to work. But if I can get rid of the 13, then it does work. So 13. So I'm going to tap the 13 in right now to get the cue ball in the same position it is right now. Because with that 13 gone, now I can go 14-1 and then get the cue ball over here where I can nudge the and I'm looking at it again, where I can nudge that 15 into break ball position. Now, initially I was thinking I want a low angle on the 1 so that I can go to the rail and come over here once again. But that doesn't work because that doesn't get me the angle I need on the 10. The only thing I could do if the cue ball comes over here is shoot the 10 and send the cue ball to the bottom and bump the 15 ball this way. But then what's my insurance ball? I'm going to have to shoot this 4 ball in the corner next, and that's not ideal. So I look at it and I realize, wait a minute, if I stay, here's the shot line of the 1, if I stay above the shot line, then I can go to the rail here and come this way. And that's a really natural route, 2 rails to get the angle that I need on the 10. So always thinking, I didn't have a specific plan, but always thinking. But even if I do that, I'm looking at it now, even if I do that, yeah, I still have that shot on the 4 ball up here. What in the world am I doing? This is where you got to remember, don't forget. What I've noticed, and this is why you've got to slow down and think. That's something I'm really trying to incorporate in my game. What I noticed is that no matter what pattern I use here to try and bump the 15, I'm going to have a long shot on the 4 and then use the 3 to get on the break shot. Now that 3 to the break shot is ideal, but shooting the 4 ball from here isn't. And I decide I don't want to do that. So then what's your break ball? And it's right here. And that's the theme of this week is don't forget. This, and the reason why I'm on this rack, this is an ideal situation because the 3 ball is where I want it to be for a side pocket break shot. If I get ball in hand in the kitchen, I can place the cue ball wherever I want it and go into the rack. Secondly, I have 1 but 2 balls in the rack area. That is an ideal key ball for the 3 in the side break shot because you can get ball in hand by stopping the cue ball in the rack area. That's what the theme of this week. Don't forget this. Don't forget that you can stop the cue ball in the rack area and get ball in hand. It's a really powerful option. And in this case, I ran out of my options at the rack to get a side of the rack break shot. You've got to remember that you've got that side pocket break shot. So it was great that I left that and didn't shoot those right away. The 3 ball I want to mention is also ideal because if you have a ball of half a diamond on either side of the center, that's not an ideal position. Now it can work. Let's say the 3 ball was here. You can still get ball in hand and send the cue ball in there. But you're at a much higher risk of hitting the side of the rack and scratching in the corner pocket from either side. Compare that anywhere in the center of the table to the 3 ball. My cue ball is taking this line into the top of the rack area. So at that angle, if I should mishit it and hit the side of the rack, I'm more likely to get to the bottom rail without scratching. And if I mishit it and hit this side, I can't scratch. I'm going to go to the side rail. The only way I could scratch is back into the side pocket. So you want your side pocket break shots to be closer to the side pocket, not in the center of the table. So this is an ideal situation. And then the other thing, what am I doing shooting the 4 ball? Well, if you think about it, I've got a pattern to clear these balls easily, okay? But then I've got to use the 4 ball to get on the 3 somehow. That's not bad because if you'll be able to leave your cue ball low, drop the 4 ball on the side, and then hit the head rail, and you're going to have the angle you need. So everything about this end pattern is ideal. But I decide I want to stop the cue ball in the rack area so I can have ball in hand. So by shooting the 4 ball right now, it's actually pretty good position for this stripe in this corner pocket. Now, what you could also do is cut the 4 in the side and go this way for the 1 ball. That would be okay. But it's a lot longer route to travel, a little bit less natural. You don't know what angle you're going to get on that 1. But what I'm going to do, look, the position zone for this 14 ball in the corner pocket is right here, right? So if my cue ball hits the rail here, I'm coming right into that position zone, okay? So what I don't want to do when I shoot this 4, draw the ball. Because if you draw it, then your cue ball is taking this path, and I'm kind of heading at the 3. But if you let the cue ball go to the head rail with right spin, that's really natural to come to this rail above the side pocket, and I'm going right into the position zone 14. So this may look like a bit of an exotic shot, but it's perfect. It's just ideal for getting on that 14 ball. And I've got lots of distance to slow the cue ball down. Speed control is going to be real easy. Just an ideal situation. Now, because I thought of this earlier, I don't want to give myself a low angle. It would be natural to get a low angle on the 1, and I've said this twice already, and come over here. But now I'm shooting the 15 and running into the 10, or I'm cutting the 10, and I might be cutting it thinner than I want to. Much, much more controllable. And what I did is stun the cue ball so I stayed above the 1. And now I can have that route I talked about, 2 rails over here. Much easier to stay flat on these balls by coming 2 rails this way. And so either one of these is a K2 for the other one is the key ball. If my cue ball had stopped closer to straight in for the 10, I could just drawn back here, and I'd be straight in on the 15, stop the cue ball in the rack. As it is, I'm very, very close to straight in on the 15, cheat the pocket just a touch, draw back, straight in on the 10. This is what you're looking for your end patterns, and that's another reason why I chose this rack. You know, cutting the 4 ball on the side as your key ball and coming here is a very, very controllable and predictable route. What are your odds of success on this route with the 4 ball in the side as a key ball? Really high, over 90%, I would say. Depends on the shooter, but 90, 92, 95, 97%. Okay. What are the odds of getting the correct position on the break ball with the 10 ball and I'm straight in? It's 100%, folks. This is what you're looking for when you're shooting. Those decisions, you're not just trying to get good enough. You're trying to find an option that's better than your 95% option. That's what makes 9-ball so different from rotation games. In 9-ball, you're shooting % shots all the time. It's not the case in straight pool. Straight pool is about that cue ball. So this is perfect. 100% chance of being perfect on my break shot. No matter which ball I ended up on straight in, I was going to be perfect. So I thought this was a good example of that. Don't forget about that break ball in the side pocket. Let me skip ahead. Okay, now I mentioned this is a great angle because my cue ball is going to be going at this angle into the rack. You don't need to blast this. Don't think that you've got to hit it like a shallow angle break shot. The cue ball is going to have plenty of velocity on it, and you're hitting the top of the rack, which means balls are going to come off both sides of the rack. So you don't need to smash it. My cue balls are going to hit these and come off a little bit or come to the rail and just a little bit off the rail. That's all you need to do. Let's see what kind of result I get. I know what kind of result I get. It's awesome. See, I didn't have to hit that hard. And if you notice, it hit. I did hit the ball to the right. I hit the head ball to the left, and then the cue ball turned into the ball to its right, the other one, which took all the velocity off the cue ball, so you're not going to scratch. Just a perfect situation. And yeah, I've got balls everywhere. I've got a couple of potential break balls, lots of opportunities to manufacture break balls. That's the Rack of the Week 119. Don't forget about that side pocket break shot. Don't forget that you can stop the cue ball in the rack for ball in hand. It's a really powerful move, and it comes up way more often than you think if you're looking for it. Thanks for watching, and see you next week on Rack of the Week. Bye.